Hey everybody, it's Strychnine with Strychnine GP, and I'm back with another episode of this Out of the Park 22 playthrough with the San Francisco Giants. We're in the 2023 season, just finished the draft. Got some things to recap and to let you guys know about, but the big thing today is it's time. There's going to be a pretty big move made in this episode. You know, not the move I was hoping to make, but I think it's time. It's necessary. And we'll get to that later, but I'm just going to give a recap of what's been going on since last episode. And I guess a briefer recap for anybody who might be picking up the series right now. I started with this team in 2021, and Out of the Park Baseball, the way they had the contracts, I don't know if it's a perfect match to real life, to be honest, because I had some questions later if the contracts were really keyed up correctly when it comes to the front office. But the reason I took over this team, a lot of big name players came off the books after that 2021 season, and this team had just a tremendous amount of money to play with in free agency. And my goal was to see if I could turn with those being the situation, with that being the situation, I was wanting to see if this is the team, a kind of team that I can just take over, spend a lot of money on, and turn them into a winner. And that didn't happen for several reasons. One, the big name free agent pitchers I got didn't perform right away. I panicked. I got rid of them. And then two, one of the main free agents that I was depending on to be an offensive contributor, his ratings, as they will sometimes do in this game, they tanked. And I mean, just in a short amount of time, they went from a guy being an all-star still, not necessarily in his prime, but, still within those prime years, to being just I don't even know if mediocre is accurate to where this guy's ratings are. And the guy I'm talking about is Freddie Freeman. So he was, a big acquisition for me after the 2021 season. I was targeting him early in the 2021 season, hoping he would be available. I went for him, I got him, and he was a bust. And so now I'm kind of looking at, I guess, a hybrid between putting some money into some bigger name players. We traded for Devers, for instance. Still have him on the team now with a pretty big boost in his contract about to come up. But we're gonna ride him out, I think, for now. But I'm mixing that with just hoping that we can get some of these prospects through the system a little quicker, maybe, and just get some guys who are right now rated pretty highly, get them to play at the major league level, develop, and hopefully develop quick, and just see if we can, I guess, build a team a more traditional way. For me, with this team anyway, that free agent route was a bust. But let me go ahead and get a few things out of the way before we start simming ahead. But first thing I wanted to go over was the draft. I can take a look at it, I guess, from our trends. Where is that report? Yeah. I guess I can look at the transactions logs. But long story short, with draft this year, pitching was way more deep. Well, it was a lot deeper than the batting. I was hoping to pick up some good bats this time around, but my philosophy when it comes to the draft is occasionally I might, if I'm looking at two players who are rated pretty close, one may have an advantage over another. But if I needed to develop a catcher or something like that, occasionally, rarely, really, I'll draft by position. But for the most part, I draft by talent, and whatever the talent level is of the draft pool, that's what I'm going to go with. This year, pitching was a lot more solid. I went with Brody Westbrook, first off. My scout thinks he's decent already. He's got 4 pitches, potentially all of them above average, with a really good curveball. Good stuff. But you look at OSA, they've got him at 4.5. He's probably going to be one of the top, I would say easily probably a top 100 prospect the next time that report comes out. So the very worst, I'm either going to develop him for the Giants, or he might be somebody who I can trade for another good batting prospect later on. I went second though with a good center field prospect. Guy's got some power. Looks like he's going to be a kind of player who isn't going to strike out a whole lot to go with that power, which is good. Good defender, good speed. OSA has him at 3 stars. Mike Scout has him same way. Potential's at 3, but really tick above average in every category. So I like that. And then after that, it was kind of mostly pitching. I mean, I was going, even up here in the 9th round, I got a guy who 2.5-star potential, but really good pitches individually, 3 above average pitches, a stamina that's going to be kind of above average, and 3.5-star potential from OSA. So there was really some good pitching depth in this draft. That's how I went with it. In terms of how we've been playing, we started out that first month looking really good, and then the wheels came off in a big way. This is one of the worst teams I've probably put together since I've been playing out of the park baseball. Certainly this version. I've played a few other playthroughs offline, and I'm having a way more luck than I'm having with this Giants team. We just had a terrible June 7-21 after really being above 500 through the first 2 months of the season. We'll look at it individually, but a couple, really 2 big surprises. I thought the bullpen was going to be solid because of that's where, when it came to free agency this year, that's where I put the money. The 2 guys that I signed are, one of them is having one of the worst runs I've ever seen from a pitcher, and we'll look at that when I get individually. But it's really it's hard to figure out. But it's we're struggling. Because of that, I think our pitching overall is struggling, but our starters are doing what I thought they would do, including the 2 big free agents. And I say big because they weren't big-time contracts, but the 2 free agent pitchers I brought over in that starting rotation are doing well. We're doing good in defensive, like at least the zone rating is pretty good. So we got some good defenders out there, but overall pitching struggling because of the bullpen. And then, the big thing is we just don't have any offense to speak of. So that's where the money should have gone. I think that's the lesson I'm probably learning. And one lesson is I picked the wrong free agent when it comes to Freddie Freeman. And I say that just in game because, Freddie Freeman in real life is really a very dependable, solid player. But those, I just got hit by that ratings bug partly when it comes to signing him. But I really should have put my money, I think, on offense. Last year, I put a lot of money in Trevor Bauer. I signed Sonny Gray. I signed Noah Syndergaard. Or I may have traded for Syndergaard. But long story short, I was putting like $60+ million in 3 pitchers. I should have been putting those in offense because, as one of my viewers pointed out, this is a pretty decent pitcher's park. You can't just throw out anybody. As I'm finding with that bullpen, you can't just throw out anybody and have some good luck. But I think you're going to have better luck with pitching than offense. And so that's a lesson learned. And now I've really got to scramble, I think, to build this offense back up. And we'll start looking individually just with pitching. And to tell you what I mean, Berrios and Clevenger turned out to be really good signings, especially Berrios. This guy has a 2.33 ERA, 7-5 and 18 starts, and that's just because we're not giving him any run support. His numbers are solid. The WHIP 1.05. That's really good. ERA plus, of course, is good with that 2.33, but he is really pitching a lot better than I thought. But he's certainly dependable. A lot of it though, he's getting lucky. His FIP is 4.15. So maybe the defense and being in San Francisco is helping him out too. But regardless, I love the numbers I'm getting from him. I signed him for $1.4 million. I really, really wish I had signed him now for 2 or 3 years. I mean, that would have been nice. This guy, if we get some better pitchers in, could probably move him down even to that 5th spot in the rotation, and he'll be fine. So that was good. Clevenger's good. Clevenger right now is on a pace that puts him above 5 wins above replacement. He's getting a lot of strikeouts, and he was not the type pitcher of a Bauer or Syndergaard or Sonny Gray was the other one. I don't know. I think he's comparable or better than Sonny Gray, but he's really rebounded well. I mean, he's coming off an off year even. I liked his ratings. Of course, I loved what he did with Cleveland for 3 seasons early in his career. Didn't expect him to get back to that level, but man, he's close. He really is close. So that's been a very positive. And then, even Sheffield, who I debated whether he should round out the staff. I've got him in the 5th spot. I think that was on last episode, but this guy was pitcher of the month for the month of April. So he got the award, I guess, May 1st, but that's definitely been a positive from him. So the whole starting rotation has been doing pretty well. The big thing though was we had a big injury to Dustin May. Otherwise, the starting rotation would be even better. But he got injured, I think it was in June. So it has been since the last episode, and he's gone for the rest of the month or rest of the year. That was very disappointing because I think, if we can figure out what's going on with the bullpen and get some offense in here, I think we would really be able to manage with this rotation here in San Francisco. But you look at the bullpen, Blake Trinin is a guy I mentioned earlier. I don't know if I've ever seen a poorer performance in this game from a reliever. I mean, it's just, if we look at his individual stats, there's nothing much positive here with this guy. I mean, 6 point walks per 9 innings. Well, I'll take it back. The Ks, 9.6 Ks per 9 innings, that's positive. But it's just been incredible how this guy has pitched. I thought maybe there was a point in May when I thought, okay, he's about to turn it around. And then in June, in 12 outings, he gave up 15 earned runs in 9 innings. A 289 whip. I mean, so he's putting almost 3 guys on base per inning, right? I mean, that's not going to cut it. And maybe he's coming back in July. I don't know. He's got a save. He managed to save in there. So July is looking a little bit better. One of the things I've mentioned, I know several times about this game, when you play with the ratings and scouting system on, at the end of the day, it's still a game. It's still going to feed off those ratings that are imported and assigned to these players. So unless it's just a situation where, like with Freddie Freeman, where the ratings are just like you don't see them right away, but on the back end they're tanking really quickly. Unless it's something like that, eventually these guys will start playing back to their ratings. But Trinin is not going to be able to salvage this season. I think he would have to go through like a record-breaking scoreless inning streak. Certainly for a reliever to get back to respectable numbers. But I put some money into him, $6+ million over 2 years. I'm gonna see if he can't turn it around. But the other guy, Presley, I signed to be the closer. After a decent early start, he's done the same thing. His ERA is now 6.75, a whip of almost 2. Giving up way more walks than I thought. A lot of hits too, and it just doesn't. make a whole lot of sense. I mean, he's got 3 above average pitches. He's probably not going to be one of the better closers in the game, although he's had 3 good seasons with the Houston Astros before I signed him. But I'm not sure why he's tanked either. He's gotten a little bit back on track in July, but you see June for him, 10 innings, 20 hits in 7 1/3 innings, 12 earned runs. Just a nightmare of a month all the way around. But it's made me kind of balance out the closer role a little bit. Elledge wants to be a starter, and he doesn't have the stamina for it, so I'm just going to have to forget that. But OSA has this guy rated, believe it or not, as the top closer in the league. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with their suggestion. I've talked about it previously that maybe Elledge should be made the closer. So we're going to try it out with Presley getting backup closer duties, so he might get a few opportunities here and there, especially if Elledge is tired. But Elledge does have great numbers, or ratings. His stuff is maxed out at 80. His curveball is maxed out at 80. One of the things I like to see with relievers, he's got 3 pitches instead of just 2. I know a lot of closers, especially, as long as they're maxed out or close to maxed out on 2 pitches, a lot of times they're able to perform. But sometimes if you don't have, if you don't have the 3 pitches, sometimes above average pitches, relievers can get hit pretty hard. So he's got the numbers that I look for, or the ratings that I look for in a closer. So I'm going to try him out and hope that he doesn't get so angry that he starts demanding a trade. But that's where pitching's at. Now, if we go to the lineup side, this is where it gets really even more disappointing. In the catcher spot, you may be missing Joey Bart. That's because he's been injured. He is on a rehab assignment, so he's coming back really soon. But putting Bailey in there, who at one time was still a top 100 prospect, he's not quite ready to be a starter, and he's struggled offensively. But I'm hoping Bart, when he gets back, will pick that up. Freeman, it's hard to really explain this guy. You guys can chime in. I know I've had this kind of luck before, probably at some point with out of the park baseball. But I don't think I've ever seen a player's ratings dive like this quickly. And I should say not just a player, not just any player, but a guy who has been, arguably, even coming through the 2020 season, one of the more dependable offensive players, in the game. It just bottomed out. I mean, it's I don't know how much lower his ratings could go, but they're definitely still trending down. It seems like every month the scouting report comes out on this guy, and he's losing. Yeah, look at this. In June, he lost. His power went down. His defensive ratings went down. So every time the scouting report comes out, he's taking another hit to ratings. But the numbers are just terrible. A 571 OPS, which equates to 59 ops plus. So he is almost 50% worse in OPS than the average player in the league. His wins above replacement is negative. I mean, if I keep him in the lineup, he's potentially going to be a negative 1.5 wins above replacement player. I mean, these are the projections for a full season where it's going right now, and an almost full season. 460 plate appearances, 400 plus at bats, 2 home runs, 18 RBIs. He does have a few doubles. That's about it though. A slugging percentage of 267. It's really it's sad to even keep him in the lineup at this point. And I know some of it was a luck. When I signed him, for instance, when I was going for him, I think he was still a 3.5-star player for my scout, and I think OSA still may have had him at 4. If it wasn't reversed, it could have been reversed, but his ratings against right-handed pitchers and lefties was still good. Defensively, I think he still had good ratings there even. But I do think it's hard to really say, but yeah, you look at that 2021 season. Last time he was with Atlanta, maybe the AI knew something that I didn't. You could say it that way, but it's obvious that the guy had one of his worst seasons in the majors. It probably to that point, it was his worst season. At his age, with the ratings, with the performance, I think you almost have to look at performance over ratings, even though you may be using ratings, even though your scout may be rated highly. Unfortunately for us, our scout's not rated that highly. I mean, he's like a decent scout, but his strength is in amateurs. He's good. He's not the worst when it comes to scouting the minor leagues and the majors, but I should have paid more attention to the actual numbers that Freeman put up in 2021. That was a sign of worse to come. And he even, for us, his wins above replacement was better, but it was obvious, I think, that those numbers were legit. And I questioned whether they were legit, and I think that's what where the bad luck, I guess, maybe comes into play. It's going to be either I'm right and the numbers don't reflect the guy's ability and true ratings, or they do and the ratings don't really affect his true ability. But I definitely got bit by Freeman. Wyatt has been better in coming off the bench and getting some starts, especially against left-handed pitchers, because Freeman is just a total liability with his ratings to throw out there against lefties. But Wyatt's, unless he develops into it, he's not really going to be a starter. He's a good bench player, and he could only play first base. I would much rather have a bench guy out there who could play more positions, but I'm kind of stuck with him. Looking at the rest of the lineup, though, we got Merrifield playing well. He's getting some votes for the All-Star game. Unfortunately, he got injured and missed some time, but he's back on pace to have a decent year. Devers, the production's there. He's striking out a lot, but I think put some guys around him, he might start showing better numbers. I really like that contact and power, gap power. I think that's going to translate to some monster numbers if we got good guys batting ahead of him that are going to be on base. Rounding out the rest of the team, though, everybody's struggling. Miyazaki, after being Rookie of the Year last year, his numbers are really not where they need to be for a starter. I do still like his defense, but for what it's worth, he just recently won a Batter of the Month award, and he's gotten his average and numbers up quite a bit this month. So I'm hoping that he's turning it around. He is one of those guys who my scout just has him as a 2.5-star player with right at average contact and home run power. OSA, though, they have him rated a little bit higher with good gap power and home run power. So I hope that he plays a little bit closer to OSA's ratings than my scouts, but I can't really say too much positive about what's going on with this team offensively. Blankenhorn has been injured a little bit, and after a good first month in April where he was showing some power, after a really good spring, he's really struggling again, especially in July, hitting just 147. But he's the best option I have left for now, because during that injury, where he was out for maybe 2 weeks or so, I was able to bring up Hunter Bishop, who I keep hoping is going to develop more, and he was just terrible in the majors. Hit 127, had 36 strikeouts in 79 at-bats, or 91 plate appearances. He looked just horrendous. Talk about Freeman's numbers. These are some of the worst numbers I've ever seen, too. 14 ops plus, 408 OPS, but he's looking good in the he's really looking good in the minors again. He has played well every level that he's been at for the most part, especially at Eugene when he had a monster year there. It may have even been player of the year, I think. Yeah, he was the most valuable player that year at 2021 at Eugene. But he's not ready right now. But that brings me, I guess, long setup, but that brings me to the big move I'm going to have to make. And I talked about this a little bit last episode. Luciano is my best offensive prospect. Dude's just 21 years old, almost 22. But he's a third baseman. Got good range for the most part to play third base. I think that's his natural position. But with Devers still in there, I don't really have confidence that Luciano would be an upgrade defensively over Devers even. But I want this guy's bat in our lineup. He is playing the heck out of it again in AAA, hitting .337, a .578 slugging percentage right now, on pace for some great numbers at Sacramento. He's just a 2-star player overall for my scout right now. Well, that's OSA. So OSA and my scout have him at 2 stars, but he's got good potential, especially in power. I'm ready to put this guy on the majors, but I'm not going to put him at third. So what I did is I gave him a month in AAA at first. I 4-started him at first. He's getting some, getting used to it a little bit there. I think if you look at the fielding numbers from him, not bad. I think first is one of those things where you can kind of, you can throw a player who's got good infield ratings overall out there at first, and he does well. So I don't think it's going to be a liability. And I just think it's time that I'm going to do the necessary thing here with Freeman, and that's release him. Now, I could finagle a trade maybe, but I don't know how to finagle it without giving up a prospect that I think we're going to need on one side. And on the other side, I'd probably have to pay most of his contract anyway. So I know we're going to take a hit with the fan base, and it's not the way I wanted this to turn out. In real life, I'm sure it wouldn't turn out this way. I think Freeman is probably going to hang around, be a good player in the majors for a while, but those ratings, man, they're on the way down. He's not contributing, and I really want to give Luciano a chance. So here we go. It's time to release the player, and we're stuck with $69 million that we're going to have to pay. I'm going to spread it out, and yeah, fan interest almost crashed, but what are you going to do? The guy's not playing. How that affects us on the front office, I mean, we're still going to have money here for free agents and extensions. Our looking at next year, we still have some room on the salary, so it's just what we have to do. I keep reminding myself it's just, and plus it's just a game, right? So Joey Bart, looking at him, 2 games, he's not ready to go, but let's put Luciano up here. We're going to put him in first for Wyatt, and we'll let Wyatt start just to keep him in the mix like every 7 games. I'm going to put Luciano in that 5th spot against right-handed pitchers, and then against lefties, Luciano's going to get the start all the time, and I want to put him in the 5th. No, not the 4th spot. I want to put him in the 5th spot there as well. Ramos, who's struggling, I still think he's got a chance to turn it around as well. And maybe if Luciano performs the way he has been in the minors, maybe he'll help the rest of that lineup up. So let's go ahead. We've got the All-Star break coming up. Let's see how we play for a little bit here. See if there's anything positive comes out of this. We got some some draftees who have agreed to the contract or to the offers. I know this guy's probably rated. He's already a 2-star pitcher. He could probably play low A right now using his rating. Sorry, I need the West. I want to take a look at him though here in the AZL League first, and I need to set that back to the majors. And same with this Curiel. They're coming out of college rated a little bit higher, but I want to see how they start before I think about moving them into San Jose. Okay, but we got the first game here now with Washington at home. We win 4-1. Ramos, good game from him, 2 for 2, scored 2, drove in 2, and Luciano. A good thing I like about him, he's got a pretty good eye and discipline. Potentially, that's going to get better. So hopefully, that'll be good for us. And Sheffield got his 7th win, looked solid. Trinin inching back from that horrible start, trying to get his ERA down below 9. Let's see. Just want to keep an eye on this to see if our draftees are agreeing to the contract. So we win again, 8-4. Merrifield a good game. Luciano, first home run of his major league career. Scored 3 runs. And pitching wise, Schmidt. I didn't really take too much of a look at Schmidt's numbers. He was a guy who I actually traded Sonny Gray for. But I really like, at 27, I think he's still got potential if you play him to grow into a 3 or maybe even better star pitcher. Everything's above average with this guy, and he's got 4 strong pitches. So I'm going to be interested to see how a full season with him in the lineup or in the rotation looks. If he stays healthy, he's probably got a good shot at it with May being gone for the rest of the year. So Westbrook, the big free agent signing now, he did agree. And I'm going to look at how he looks. I'm pretty sure my scout says he should be moving up here. And I know he's ready for... Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on these guys. Like I say, I'll look at them maybe around August, mid-August, and see if they're still playing well before I move them up to low A. I might be a little bit too conservative there, but I think it's a lot to put a guy in. I know it's been happening a little bit more with this game, this version of Out of the Park Baseball than in previous versions where you've got guys who are looking really good out of the draft, but I'd prefer to hang back a little bit. So standings wise, let me take a look. I mean, we're still bottom here, but we've won 3 in a row. It's definitely a turnaround from where we were in June, which was horrendous. So we got Arizona 3 games at home. They're having a pretty decent start to their season. First game we lose 3-7. Devers 2 for 5, drove in a couple. Luciano hitless on this one, and then Dubon Miyazaki, who inching his way back up to respectable as well. Clevenger was hit hard in this one, one of his poor outings, and then Trinin, an inning, gave up a run, and he's hurt for 3 to 4 weeks. So he's, even though it says minimal, he's not gonna get better if I don't put him on. Man, what a season this guy's had. But he's not gonna get better if I don't put him on the IL. Now, if I look at the waiver wire, there's actually a couple guys here, outfield wise, who wouldn't be too bad for waiver wire pickups, but I think I'm going to ride it out for now with what I got in the outfield. And let me go back and see what the pitching looks like before I call somebody up. Yeah, there's nobody here. So I got Santos and Frisbee, who are both starters. Frisbee's actually, he's a former high draft pick for San Francisco. What was he? 15th round pick, not too high. I thought he was higher than that. But Beatty, I think, is the one who was or Bede, how you say it. I think he was the one who was a high draft pick who hasn't really panned out. But relief-wise, I mean, Doval, his numbers look great at Sacramento, but I don't like his control. And let me see what the scouting. His walk rate is probably not going to improve too much. If I look at the pitching coach that I have, I think he's probably going to be rated as a power. Yeah, he works with power pitchers. So I don't know that he would have much of an influence on his control, but I'm going to bring him up. And probably throw him in there. I think he's better suited for setup. But I'm going to put him in there at middle relief for now. And game 2 against Arizona, we win 5-2. Another good pitching performance, and we're home, so another good pitching performance there. Luciano hitless again here, 3 strikeouts. Webb, great game from him, 7 innings, just 1 earned run, but he didn't get the win. And Presley and Elledge, even their roles have changed, but they were the both the victory went to Presley and the save went to Elledge in this one. And game 3, and then we'll take a look at the All-Stars. We lose 2-4. Blankenhorn, 2 hits in this one. Miyazaki leading off had a hit. Luciano, after a pretty decent first couple games, he's now struggling. Barrios, 5 innings, 3 runs, I can deal with that. No walks, but just didn't have it offensively today. So take a look at the All-Stars. In terms of the American League, I don't know if there's anybody that we got rid of who are as an All-Star. Let me take a look. I don't see anybody. And then for us, Barrios made it. I'm a little surprised by that, honestly. But I know his numbers are okay, but that's good. He made it. Jelly made it. That's really big surprise. He's been getting a lot of appearances. On pace for 80. He may be leading the league in appearances. So we got 2 pitchers who made it, a starter and a reliever. I can't imagine having any offensive players make it and we don't. But I guess it could be worse. It's kind of what you expect. Now on the prospect side, we've got surely somebody. Yeah, we got Sonny Vargas, a closer, who is down at San Jose, probably rated good enough to move up, but he needs some time in the minors. And another closer, Paulino, who's in the Arizona League, and Luis Matos, who was I think somebody who was an international free agent and was part of this team when I started. He does have some upside, 2.5-star potential from my scout right now, but he's at Eugene, which is high A, and he's having a pretty decent year, so he might be a sleeper. But that's it for the prospects. And Tamar Johnson looks like he had a good game there in that All-Star or the Prospects game. Players of the Week, McNeil in the National League in this run through, he's looking really good. His averages, he's led the league in batting the previous 2 seasons already. Craig Kimbrell out for the season, although he's not really the primary closer there in San Diego. And then power rankings were moving up a little bit. I mean, we've been down here. We may have even been as low as the bottom previously. So we're moving up a little bit. San Jose, they look good. That's why, I don't know if it would be beneficial to move those draftees right up to San Jose yet. So let's finish out the All-Star game week. And here's James Sherfy ready to come off. I'm gonna let him rehab for a while and see what he looks like in the minors. And I guess Bart's ready to come off. He didn't look great in San Francisco or Sacramento, but he needs to be the starting catcher. So Trump gonna move him down to what did I do? Did I just release him? Let me make sure I didn't do the wrong thing there. Crap. Let me see. I put him way down to the. I'm going to promote him to Sacramento. He might even be a better option than Bailey, but I think Bailey's probably rated a little bit higher potential wise. But I'm going to put Bart back in there at catcher. I'm going to move him up in the lineup because he's got some really good power. I'm probably going to put him in that 5th spot just to give Luciano some cushion maybe, so he's not having to sweat it too much. And then Bailey's going to come in maybe every 6th game just to make sure that Bart gets enough rest. And once again, put him there. Man, I'm having a hard time with the controlling the mouse here. And then I didn't do this correctly, so I got to fill out the DH lineups. I'll probably need to do that before we go too far ahead. That looks pretty good there. And then Joey Bart, Shiano, and Blankenhorn. Yeah. And then Fitzgerald. But main thing is I want to make sure, I may have to play around with this offline a little bit more, but Trout was the MVP of the All-Star game. And now we're about to start playing, and I'm probably going to finish out this series, and we'll look at... Oh, I'm sorry. Trout won the home run challenge. So we'll finish out this week, and then might take a look at some trading options, and then we'll move on. But Guerrero Jr. was the MVP. American League lost, though, 4-2. He just had a 2-run home run. I don't know why that would be all that special. Pitching-wise, Jelly pitched but gave up a run. And he was the only one who pitched for us. But at least we got some representation there. And then Ty Floyd agrees. So we should be close on our draft. Yeah, we've only got one guy, Derek Mitchell, guy I drafted second. Group And Westbrook's, I mean, and then Curiel. I still think they probably need to start out at this level before I start moving them up. Nothing really special I'm seeing so far from them, although it's been limited play. So we're going to be on the road against Washington. They are 45-45. Game one, we squeak out a win 6-5. Miyazaki, 1 for 2 in this one. He's getting his average close to where it was last year. I mean, he was just a 250 hitter last year. Merrifield, a couple of hits. Luciano, 2 for 4 on this one. Scored a couple runs. Pitching wise, Schmidt, 6 innings, so I'll take that. Elledge got the save, but man, it wasn't a clean save. Game 2 against Washington, 11-6, huge win. I mean, that's the kind of offense we need to see, but I don't want it to come at the expense of pitching, really. A couple hits from Ramos. Luciano was 2 for 5. I'm not seeing that power yet, though. Just 1 home run. Dubine and Simmons had good games here. Miyazaki, unfortunately, hitless. Clevenger picked up the win, 6 Ks and 5 2/3. Peters, I tell you who's looked good. Beck I had to bring up due to injuries, and he was looking great in Sacramento. I don't think he needs to be a starter with the 5 I've got in there now, but man, he's looked good in relief since I called him up. So can we sweep Washington to get us 10 games below 500? That'd be nice, and we don't. And we got Devers going to be out, so that's not good. So Luciano's going to have to come in there and play third on this one, and you can already see he's getting more time there at first, and his position rating's going up. Already, though, he had a home run in this game. Already this guy's numbers, are an improvement over Freeman's. Blankenhorn, Bart, Garcia, Wyatt, all good games, but Barrios was really crushed in this one. Even Jelly, so the 2 All-Stars, and Beck, who I just talked up, I mean, they really stunk it up. So let's take a look. That should get us to the end of the week. Nope. So Mitchell is now signed. So our draft, I think, went pretty good. I mean, that's 5 players who are, I think, all 2.5, 3-star potential, which can translate over time into something pretty good. Mitchell, especially, I think, has a good chance of being a nice player. Players of the week, we're going to be playing Philadelphia. Players of the week, Bo Bichette and Shustin Williams. Heath Quinn, who is a right fielder for us down there in Richmond, but gosh, he's 28. He's not going to be, he's not necessarily a prospect. And Tommy LaStella, who was our third baseman the first season and a half with this team, who we traded away for Amir Garrett, who's having a disappointing season, but he's really, LaStella's kind of bottoming out there for Cincinnati. They're really wanting to trade him. And power rankings, we're still at 22, but San Jose's looking good. So I think we got some prospects maybe to look for on the horizon. Now, in terms of trading, I think I would still want to, I think I would still want to pick up some offensive players, but I don't know if we have, I really don't know if we have the depth or talent, on this team to really pick up anybody, to trade away for anybody. If I look at the home screen, again, and see where our weaknesses are, I think the first base is going to change as Luciano develops. But that infield, is pretty good. Simmons, I got him for his defense, so, I can live with whatever his offense is right now, but the big thing is, getting some offense from our outfielders, and right now we don't have it. But like I say, I still feel like there's enough upside with Bishop, and I think it's. Oh man, he may be injured. Calario, is that his name? No, Canario. I'm sorry, I overlooked him. So he's lost a lot of his potential where it used to be pretty high. It's not. But if I look at the trading block here, I'm just not seeing a whole lot either to build anything around. Especially if I look at just the outfielders. I mean, Max Kepler, um, he's really not been playing well at all in the last few seasons. So he might even be, like a risk like Freeman turned out to be. Here's Yastrzemski, who, we let go. And, I think that was the right move because you look at what he's done in game. The last 2 seasons has been good. So there's not really much out there on the trading block. And in terms of pitching, I guess we could still try to build up our bullpen. You got Flaherty out there, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. He wouldn't bring us any benefit. Iglesias might, but he's another one who at 33, he might be kind of another Trinin situation. I might really regret it. Whistler, we let go, and he's not having that great of a season either. So I think that was probably the right move to let him go. I think we're going to have to really work on building up the prospects right now. I don't think that there's too much we can do in terms of trading. If I look at free agents we got coming off for this season, Barrios, depends on how his season plays out. I may try to get this guy re-signed. I mean, no, it won't. Early in the year, he was looking at a lot lower contract. So with what I'm giving him, I mean, at least we're able to keep respectable with him. I'm not going to trade him away right now. Garcia, Merrifield, I might could see what they would bring. Merrifield especially seems to be one of our better value, in terms of trade on the team, but he's nothing special at this point in his career. But I am seeing a lot of offers for him, but it would have to be somebody who's, I think, going to be a sleeper like Celestino. Doesn't look too bad for my scout, good contact and speed. He would be primarily a right fielder. Mustakas. Ahmed Rosario, who can play several positions, is a pretty decent player, but I don't know where I would put him in that starting lineup. Miles Straw, don't like his offensive ratings. Trevor Bauer, he's really not having a great run with the Dodgers this year either. AJ Puck. What's his contract like? He's still in arbitration years. I mean, he's definitely a lefty specialist. He wants to be in the starting rotation. that's intriguing. I may have to come back around to that one. But you can see, I mean, there's nothing that's going to really have a major impact through trading right now on this team. So, Reinhardt, he's okay. But I think, I think what we're going to do is stick it out with what we've got for the rest of the season and see if I can get some way to bring Bishop, even if it's back in September, and just see if he plays better the next time I bring him up. We do still have Ben Abram, who was injured to start the season. I want to give him a look. So if we do lose Barrios this year, we can't sign him because his demands are a little bit higher. I'd like to give Abram a look in case we need him next year. So pitching, we might just eke it out if we take a look at what's happened over the last, we're still respectable with pitching. We just got to improve these offensive numbers. We're playing 500 through 18 games in July. I'll probably come back around September and give an update again and finish out the season. But I know this year it's going to be transition again. I was hoping that by this time we would be winning and competing for the playoffs, but it's not going to happen unless there's some miracle. We're 12 games below 500 right now. I don't think there's any moves we can make until the off season that are going to make that much of a difference. But we'll ride it out and see what happens. There are a couple things, like I say, that I want to take a look at before this season's over. Abram as a starter for one, and then Bishop, I want to make sure that I give him some more time because I think he's still got good upside. I think he's got a chance to work his way into a decent starting player for the team. But as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support, and I will see you next episode.